Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second LinkedIn Live. I am Meena, and we have with us Luca Benini. Hello, Luca. How are you today?
Hello, Mina. Yes, I'm doing very well. I'm quite excited about this session today. I can't wait to share my screen.
Okay, before you share your screen, let's just go over why we're here and why Vinton and a bit about engagement rules for everyone who's joining us today. So we just go over it first, and then we can get into whatever we have to get into.
So fair enough. So
exciting stuff.
Very quickly, you're right. So why are we here? Well, we're here because typically on LinkedIn, we tend to talk about a lot of things that happen in our very exciting ecosystem in Salesforce world, agentic AI, everything that is happening with Agentforce provides a lot of things that we talk about. We don't spend enough time, we've been accused of talking about what we do and making sure that people understand and get up to date with what we do. So we decided to dedicate an entire session where we look inwards, and hopefully people will excuse us that we it's not overly nice to talk about yourself all the time, but this one time, once a month I should say, we talk about ourselves. So that's why we do it.
Okay.
Rules of engagement, you asked.
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
So rules of engagement, I think we said it last time. So we have no question is too stupid. So this is an interactive, session, and we really want everybody's opinion. I don't remember number 2 and number 3 rules, but I think we can make them up on the spot. So one is we love people that ask questions. Making a reference to number. I don't remember the other rule, but I think we can move on and I can share my screen. We have a lot to share.
Yes, I think you're too excited about everything that we have to share, so you've forgotten everything that we had in the start. So let's share your screen, and we're talking about our latest release, which will be out next week. So we are doing a little session here so everybody can know all the fun features that we have in our release.
Indeed.
The screen is
coming up.
It's loading for me. It's coming up. And 3.
Is it?
It's not up yet.
No?
Not for me.
Oh, okay. 1 second. What do I do? Can you see the screen?
I cannot see the screen actually. Let's see.
Well, I can.
Okay.
No?
What?
Screen is on?
No,
can we get some feedback from people watching?
Yes, can anyone who's watching tell us if they can see
it looks
the
like
screen?
we are on. So screen is visible.
I can see it now.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
So
I think we were looking at each other. So what are we talking about
Spring
today?
25 release. So Luca, are you excited about this release? First, we want to know how excited you are on the scale of 1 to 10.
Okay, don't get me started there. No, because I'm really excited, and I'll tell you why I'm excited is because we have a ton of new things that our clients helped us build, and we're so super pumped by bringing them to the.
So I see something that says templates on the screen.
Yes,
Then
and
we
I'm
have
scrolling. There's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff.
So yeah. So templates.
Before
Let's start
we
with.
Into it,
Let's start with.
Before we start into let's go.
So templates. Well, first, why did we create templates?
Exactly.
And you can see that we are already where templates are created, and if people are reading this, they will already have a chance to understand a bit more how it comes to life. But so a lot of our clients use Vinton, turning conversations into Salesforce data across their organization. And as they do so, they have very different context where these conversations take place and use cases for bringing Vinton and inviting Vinton into their conversations. They go from sales to service to interviews to internal meeting, project updates, partner conversations, and so forth. And on the back of these different contexts, they want to have very detailed, very relevant notes, and not always they will look the same, capturing notes for a sales meeting or even for a sales meeting at the beginning of the journey. So a discovery call is very different from capturing meeting notes and insights and creating insights with the level of detail that is required by our clients at a later stage in a sales conversation, for a project update, for an internal call, for a partner's call, and so forth. So that's why we worked on templates to bring all those differences to life and automate all the process that happens behind the scene, so that every time you invite Vinton, you have exactly the insights and the notes and the format, the temperature, the length, the level of detail that you are expecting from Vinton. Does it make sense?
So in short, what you're saying is that I can have a completely different set of insights for 2 calls, depending on the type of calls that I have, right? With the help of templates.
Correct. To help bring that to life in a bit more practical way, look at what I have on my screen. We have created a few examples of templates that look and consider different scenarios. We have a few sales scenario, like sales business development call, or a sales advanced, maybe negotiation call, later stage call. We have an HR example. Can have a candidate interview,
which is completely different from sales, right? Which is like completely different in context and everything from sales.
Exactly.
Can you like show us a template and so we can see how it works?
Yeah, of course. Let's actually take a look at an obvious one. It also helps understand how AI is applied for a template like this, right? So let's actually go to video call prompt, and I'll show you the summary. So how does template work? Well, first, we can help Vinton understand different contexts where different templates will need to be applied. So the first task that we assign to Vinton is understand the context and identify that this is the specific context, and therefore this is the specific set of instructions that we have for you, Vinton. And in this particular case, it's so obvious, you talk in a very natural way to your AI. And in this case, we're telling Vinton, use this prompt when the conversation is an early stage business development or sales discovery call, and accordingly create a customized summary using the specific instructions. And the guidelines reflect the context and reflect the fact that we want Vinton to apply the methodology or the framework that is called BANT, budget, availability, budget, authority, need, and timeline, right? And this is how we are asking Vinton to handle the output, the insights that are going to be produced. That makes sense?
And we can define it for audio notes, video calls, in-person phone calls. So we can have a separate prompts for all of them for the particular template.
It will be similar, likely, because it's the same framework, the same methodology, same context, but it can be adapted for all the different channels through which this type of communication comes back to Vinton, and Vinton refers it back into Salesforce, and also apply to all the different types of insights that we create. So from follow-up email that we draft to the next steps that are identified. An example here is in a discovery call. If I haven't, in the opinion of Vinton, qualified the need or the timeline correctly, the next step likely will actually say, well, go back to your client and requalify them on need and timeline or anything that is needed, right? So it's
and then this also sort of like if you're in coaching, so you can have a different set of coaching requirements to define different coaching for someone who's from sales and someone who's from HR, because obviously these two are completely different things.
Exactly. Now, look at this here, right? If I zoom in and we go through this specific coaching prompt that we set up, you can see that it says, well, you've identified that this call is a discovery call. You've applied the BANT methodology. Now tell me, based on this, as a highly qualified, skilled trainer, tell me how well or badly we are applying this particular framework, this particular methodology, right? Perfect.
Yes. So before I ask you to show us this in some of the calls that you've obviously prepared. Let me just quickly go over how it actually works from a
Yes.
technical point of view. So we have multi-layer prompting in which we have a context, and then underneath the context, we have different prompts that the users define for different types of calls that they have. So what we do is we have a list of all the templates that you have defined, and we have a context for each of it. And what we do first is that we see the call and we see which context the call fits in. Once we find the context, we apply the prompts that you define within that uh, for that particular context. And if, for instance, the call does not fall into any of the templates that you have over here, it would automatically use the default prompts that we have in your Salesforce. So we're covered for everything over there.
Precisely,
And
exactly. And you said it. Yes. Go ahead.
and also, if you're someone who's already using our app and do not feel the need of templates, I don't know why that would be. The solution would work for you as it is working for you now. If you have any custom templates added before, they would just remain the same. So templates is basically something that we've built on top of the default prompts that we have. Okay. So,
Correct.
Luca, I think now you should show us how it's applied to some of the calls that you've had. Uh,
Ooh,
because I
okay.
know that you've been using this new version for a week now.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes,
let's
yes. Okay.
see.
So let me take
Okay.
you into the actual Salesforce real world, right? So this is our component. We had a conversation with a client, and this conversation has been captured by Vinton, brought into the right contact, related to the right opportunity, of course, and all of that. Now, this is also a new small feature. We can click here from the contact recording and the insights that we have directly in the contact page. We can go into our library, what we call the Vinton library, to look into more insights. And I think we've already seen this, the minutes, the time spent speaking versus listening, and all of that. If we go to the coaching um, tab here, you can see that we have instructed, in this particular example, Vinton to identify how well we applied the framework. And this was, an advanced sales conversation. So it wasn't actually BANT, it was MEDDIC, as a different example. But, as a framework of reference, we are asking Vinton, okay, so give me some understanding of how this particular user, Luca, this particular salesperson in this scenario, has handled the call according to the framework. And you can see it's actually given me a very good, score
You're
of
just
7.
you're just 2 points away from being great, Luca. Just 2 points away. Do better.
Exactly. But then, and talking about points that I'm missing, you can see that it's identified areas of improvement for me. And if we go to the first one, I tap on this, you can see immediately that it's actually taking me directly to the moment where I could have done a better job. I could have asked, beyond your manager, is there anyone else who will need to approve or influence this decision? And that would have given me a higher score in identify that particular E element in the framework of MEDDIC, which is the economic buyer. And this would
And
have
I love
actually,
like how specific this is because, like, it's telling you what to do exactly. So it's probably very helpful for you as a sales professional, as someone who's
100%. That's exactly right. And then, by the way, this is designed on kind of pre-existing frameworks in a relatively generic sense, because this is a demo example. We know by working with our clients that they all apply even existing frameworks like MEDDIC and BANT or spin selling or other challenger selling and so forth. They apply those methodologies and the frameworks in their own way, and they have their own set of training material. All of that can be used and fed into Vinton, so that Vinton makes a reference directly to that when creating not only the summary, the topics, extracting the follow-up items, but really also when it comes to coaching and helping us get better in light of the context of the call and in light of the framework and the methodology that it should be applied. Make sense?
Yes, this looks great. I see something at the bottom, like something that reads a little associated records. Maybe do you want to tell
Okay.
everybody?
So we're
what
jumping
that is?
around. Yes. So I'm zooming in. Hopefully you can see. We've added a way to not only inform users that these are insights that are generated through AI, so they need to tread lightly and consider their own respective perception and their own understanding of the context in order to apply them or edit them accordingly. But most importantly, we've also given them the ability to give us some feedback based on their understanding and their liking, the usefulness, the impact that they see, thanks to what Vinton has done to help them be more efficient, more insightful in their work. So we've created this feedback mechanism, and I can show you, for instance, if I actually am not happy with what happened with Vinton and how Vinton interpreted this particular area, or how it's coaching me on engaging the economic buyer, then I can always tell, okay, so let me as a user give this feedback, which is the human feedback loop that the AI needs in order to get better and to improve, because then we can gather this input, use it next time we fine tune, or we help our clients fine tune their prompt, fine tune the way in which they display the information back to the user. Does that make sense?
Yes, great. One more thing about feedback is that, of course, it comes to us, so we see and what you guys have to say for us, and we look at it and we make our product better according to that. But another thing is, because this is all also stored in your Salesforce, so as an admin, if you want to see how your team is adapting to Vinton or how they're sort of finding the insights, you can also create a report from this data very easily, and you can see what everybody is saying about the product that they've been using. So it's also something that can help us and can also help you as a Salesforce admin or as a
Yes.
team lead. So you can create a report, filter by your team, and then, the multiple million ways of how you can use the data in
Yes.
reports.
So we are back
Okay.
at the list of the release, right? So we
Okay.
we jumped from template all the way to feedback, which I think is
Okay.
somewhere here. Here it is, AI Insights Feedback. That's what the one that we just showed. Actually, next to it deserves a mention. The phone calls. It's not something that we have in the demo at the moment, but we've, as it says here, we have enhanced our ability to connect with virtually any telephony system that is already integrated with typically with a very light touch integration with Salesforce. We have experience in working with Five9, Ring Central, Zoom calls, team calls, and so forth. And we are adding more ability, more insights for our clients from all channels, right? So bringing more data, automating more data to be brought available inside Salesforce, where it matters, where it's available to the users, to their managers, and ultimately to Agentforce down the line. Does it make sense?
Yes, great. If you
This is
could zoom
exciting.
out a bit, maybe we could see some more features, because I think that it's time that we show everybody associated records, how they can
Ooh,
associate
ooh,
Salesforce
ooh, ooh. Okay, okay,
records.
okay, okay,
Because
okay. Let me.
before you show them, we need to know why we added this feature to our product.
Very important point. So I'll tell you the truth. um, as a Salesforce user and as a salesperson myself, I discipline in Salesforce has not been my forte, which means that sometimes I engage with customers, I engage with prospects that are not in my Salesforce, which means that I will jump in a call and I will have a very relevant conversation, very important update will be shared, but the person is not a contact and is not a lead in my Salesforce. So what I can do, I can associate after the call the important updates that are generated after, out of my conversation with a contact or lead and all the related records that were not previously in my Salesforce. The same obviously applies for a conversation that happens with people that are in my Salesforce, but I need to relate more and additionally relevant records as well, because I want that particular update to show up whenever anyone across my organization visits that particular record and gets information, wants to see the latest about that particular record. Do you want to see it?
Okay. Yes, please. Can't
So in
wait.
this
Let's
example,
go.
you can see that I had a call with Mina. So Mina is obviously in my
Like
Salesforce.
the
Me,
client.
which is the client, exactly. Then I have myself as the user, so that's a granted, right? I'm in Salesforce, but then I have associated a number of records here, and I can do a few more just by virtue of going into this very easy to handle window and select maybe different accounts or different contacts that should be here. Where for instance, I want this to actually be also associated with Nick, who's another contact across my organization that I want to make sure that this update is showing up to. You can see I already as an example added a couple of opportunities here, and I can also assign other users, maybe a colleague that should be kind of informed and kept up to date automatically by this. So I can also go here and let me see, Osama. I don't know if he's actually there. We go. He's a user, right? So I can actually add him too. So all of a sudden we've distributed the information even more and even beyond the automated work that Vinton has already done in identifying who was in the call, who was part of the meeting, and then distributing the default information we've added on top of it. That's the assignment. And I click on it, I update, and all of a sudden we have a few more added here, as you can see, a user and a contact.
And what happens if you click on one of these associated records? It takes you to the page?
Correct. So if I click on this record, it takes me directly inside that particular contact. And again, we are now seeing the update that we associated with this particular record showing up here as well. And again, anybody visiting this contact to see, hey, what's the latest with regards to our conversation with Catherine, and he or she will see that there's an update that is relevant to this contact in this context, because we deemed that this should have been surfaced here. Make sense?
Yes, very, very cool. Before we move on to our next feature, let me also talk a bit about associated records and how technically you can add any record that you want in the list. It's just a simple configuration on the admin panel. We've also added the video on how to do that in our release notes. So right now, by default, it just has user, lead, account, and no, sorry, account, contact, opportunity, and user. But if you want to add leads or any other custom object that you have in your Salesforce, you can also add it. It's a simple configuration from the admin panel. So you can basically add any object that you want to appear on this pop-up. If it's present in your Salesforce, we can do
this
that.
This is very informal. So can you drive me to it?
Yeah, sure. If you could go to generic configurations.
There we go.
And then associated objects. So you can see right now you just have account, contact, opportunity, and user. But if you want to add a new one, you have a little link where you have to add a new reference object, and then you would basically refer to that object, and then you can sort of add that. That would also appear back in your Vinton tab on the pop-up. So it's not just these 4 records. It could be any object that you want to link to your call. So
this is a small parenthesis for admins, I guess, because
yes.
most of us, kind of very light touch admins, will understand, but when you go into label field API name, that's really kind of out of. But I think it totally makes sense, right?
Admins would know. Yes.
Exactly, and I think this is super cool as well. So let's actually go back here. Where are we? So we started with template. We talked about associated Salesforce record. Ooh, the download. Yes.
Okay. So why did we introduce the ability to download transcript and insights? Transcript. So we have. Okay.
No, you go.
You go ahead. So we've had a lot of feedback from our clients where they wanted to have the opportunity to download all of them so they can sort of copy paste it. If you have transcript, you'd have a file and then you can copy paste it, send it in the email, or you can just save it for yourself in a folder, however you want to use. So if you could
Exactly.
like show us.
Yeah, I believe I clicked on it. So by clicking, this is
Yes.
actually the minutes, the summary and the minutes. So there are two new kind of downloadable elements that we created. This one, I think the important thing is as well that it creates the name of the file, making a direct reference to the title of the call, which is
Yes.
typically the
Yes.
subject line of the invite to the video call, if it's a video call, when it
Mhm.
happened, right? So it has a reference to the date as well. And obviously it's the fact that it's meeting minute, and it's a TXT file. And that makes it super flexible because it can be copy pasted into a different type of doc, or made into a PDF. And it actually carries the important information: when the meeting took place, who were the participants, how long was the meeting, the summary, and the actual minutes. Then on the other hand, we have in the transcript, we have a very similar approach, but in this case, as you can see, this is the dedicated tab where our conversation, in this case, the call conversation, is captured. This can be downloaded once again in a TXT file, and once again, the file will include the title of the call and when the call took place, and then make a reference, a specific reference to who spoke when and what did they say. And this is relevant because, again, we have a lot of clients that use this information to take into different systems. They automatically want to bring the transcript into separate solution that will reprocess it, or they want to archive it for compliance reason and so forth. And we now made it available and possible.
This looks so great. Okay, so we've gone through all of the big features. We also have added AI parameters, which is basically just frequency. So now, if you want to update your model parameters, you can change the temperature, frequency, and presence penalty of the model.
Yes,
If you feel that. So this
it's
is
super
also
easy,
something for
right?
admins. Also for admins.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
so
this
you
is
could just
super
go
easy. It's
in.
also part of the AI configuration within the Vinton panel. The admin panel, obviously only available for admins, as you were saying, and with the ability to change temperature, the frequency penalty, and the presence penalty as well. So assigning those values that are really kind of the advanced, as it says here, the advanced settings for those that really understand and really want to
Yeah.
reconfigure and tweak the AI to work exactly in the way that they want, according to the hyper customizable approach that we have to our solution. Look, I'm just conscious of time. We haven't taken any
Yeah.
question yet. Do we know if there are any questions you can see in the?
I cannot see any questions in the chat.
No
Are
questions
there
yet.
any questions that you might have when you were going through the features? Because I know that you've been using it for a week now. Is there anything that you want to talk about as a user when you were using the new release, and how you think it was different from the version that we previously had?
So one, I think the key enhancement is really templates, because of the ability to
Mhm.
customize in an unprecedented way, really, the way in which we want the insights and the updates to be added into our Salesforce and be available to our users. When I presented it over the past few days, and that I had it available in my demo environment here, customers have been asking, "Ooh, that's interesting, but we use our own version of Medic." And I made a reference earlier. Maybe that would be the one thing that I want to stress. Again, this is super customizable. We
Mhm.
have, default that, as you said, will work out of the box. But if you want to add your own version of it, if you want to tweak it to make it more relevant, more aligned with what you expect, both from a insights format as well as from the coaching perspective. That's absolutely available by customizing either an existing methodology template that is already included in here, or adding your own, or tweaking and modifying the ones that are already there. Does that make sense for you?
Yeah. I think we forgot to show the update that we did on the speaker assignment flow. It's small, but I think we should also, while we're
Okay.
here, we should also
Okay.
probably go over that.
So I'll do it
We could
from.
not do that previously from here, so we've added it here as well.
Correct. So what are we talking about here? Meetings happen in many different ways. This is a video call meeting with a conversation that is relatively straightforward. Meetings can happen in person, and we capture those, and they can happen in many different ways, which means that sometimes people may be, for instance, in a meeting room, and multiple speakers will be talking through one single account that joins a video call, right? So we wouldn't know who that particular person that was speaking at that particular time was. What we can do immediately after the call is finished and we come back here, we can actually, if we don't believe that this is the relevant person, or we want to assign it to the right person, we can click here, and with just one click, we can actually bring a different person here. So I can change this to Nick as one of our user, and all of a sudden we have updated across the entire set of information, and now Nick is appearing as the person that was in the call with me. Again, probably bad example because this was a single person that was already identified, but I think that functionality is hopefully clear. Does that make sense, Mina?
Yes, and I think this is more useful when you're in an in-person meeting where the speakers are identified at person one, person two, the way it is. So we've updated the flow in a
Yes.
way that now you can just directly go into the transcript and reassign the speakers. Maybe if you're in the Vinton tab, you can filter, let's say, person one, and then read the transcript and then reassign
Where's the
them. So
Vinton
it's
tab?
now available for
Yes.
the reader in the transcript.
Exactly.
So for
So in
instance, if
here,
you want,
I can,
you
kind of
just
say, okay, so I just want, whatever this person says,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that will help me, identify. Okay, so I know who this speaker is, and then very
Yes.
easily I can assign them, reassign the participant to the right person. And then this little identifier here, what does it say?
It tells you that this person was manually assigned. So there's basically, it's telling the user who's looking at the call that this was not the person initially assigned by Vinton, but it was something that someone came in and manually assigned that. So we have that distinction in there to know that it was manually updated.
Yeah, that totally
So
makes
yeah.
sense. I think we're slightly over time. What do you think?
Yes, that's right.
Do we have other questions? Maybe just a quick check.
I am just looking at those, but I don't think we have any questions right now.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Luca. It was very fun. And for everybody who's looking at this video, please install our latest versions, which will be available in the App Exchange next week. Luca, you would also probably be doing a LinkedIn post when they're live, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, if they follow
Yes.
our pages on LinkedIn, they will
Yes.
definitely be kind of given a thumbs up. Get ready to rock with the new Vinton features and functionality.
Perfect. Thank you
Super.
so much to everybody who's joining, and everybody who's watched this video up until this point. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yes.
Have a nice rest of your evening, guys, and
goodbye.
see you next
Thank you.
month.
Yes.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.